All right, we're back at F2 Fab. Transmission's back from the builder. Apparently water does not like O-rings, and they were all stretched out and leaking past the solenoids, which was losing pressure, causing the clutches to slip and heat the transmission up. We got the same torque converter. He drained it. He should have, there's a somewhere he put a pipe plug so we can drain that later if we ever need to change fluid again. And got a new flex plate because it was grinding on the starter, and the starter was grinding when I tried to start it. It was chirping a little bit in reverse, even not trying to start it. And then that starter gear looks pretty good though. And then it was grinding when I tried to start it. While we were at O'Reilly's getting our new flex plate, some random guy in the parking lot goes, "Hey, I got a transmission jack for sale." I said, "I'll take it." Because this one, the old strong way, would not go down far enough. So we'd have to lift the, it wouldn't go up high enough, so we'd have to lower the Jeep down to the second click, and then we'd have to raise it back up because it wouldn't go low enough. The new one is a dual stage. It goes way farther, and hopefully it's easier because it has a foot control. So that's what we're going to be doing today. All right, so right here are my transmission cooler lines. What we did is we took this little transfer pump right here. It goes into a drill, and we ran it in this bottle of transmission fluid and pumped it through the lines and then through the cooler and back out the other one. That way we could wash out all the old clutch material and water and everything else. So we did that, and then we blew those out with air as well to get all that transmission fluid out. And then right now we are filling up the torque converter. You want to have, I think, at least a quart or so in this. Basically, I just keep pouring it in and it'll bubble down, and keep pouring it in, bubble down, and just do that a bunch until it doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. And then we're going to stab it into the transmission right here. There's 3 clicks, so you've got to get the input shaft, the next one, I don't know, there's 3 of them. So you've got 3 clunks on here, and the last one is seating it in this into your pump in your transmission. And if you don't get that one, then you'll crack your pump and instantly have a bad transmission. Okay, so we have the transmission installed. There's 3 bolts, 2 bolts on each side and 2 on the top. And you can see the torque converter in there. And again, I don't know where that stinking, oh, there's the pipe plug right there. It's not very big, but you put it to the bottom and you can drain out all the fluid. If you have issues or you just want to do a complete fluid flush, you can do that. I got a burn mark here. This is right next to my exhaust. So I got a burn mark on this, which caused it to shift, was really stiff. And it wasn't in the transmission, it was just that this cable is warping and compressing against the inner cable. It's not letting it shift. So we've got the front drive shaft in here, and while we're under here, we'll show you what we have. So this is an Atlas 4-speed. You've got a reduction box right here, and then the normal transfer case back here. The front output comes into this pillow block, whatever, I don't know what you want to call it, but it's basically a bearing that holds this, because this is a 2-piece drive shaft, and that keeps the flat belly across there. And then it has an all spline right here, comes down, and of course I have the pinion brake with the 2.5 ton front axle. And then on the back side of it, we've got just a normal 1-piece drive shaft, U-joints at both ends, going to the Rockwell. There's no pinion brake because on this one it's running cutting brakes, and this is actually a caliper. I believe it's like a 98 F-150 front caliper, and then it's kind of a custom deal. These brackets are welded on, and then there's a spacer in here to clear the caliper or the rotor. And then of course the same thing on that side. So I can actually lock down each one of the rear tires, either one at a time. There's, I don't know if I can get to where you can see them. There's a couple of shifters in there, the blue ones, and that will lock each tire individually, so I can pivot around that one tire in front wheel drive only. And of course the Atlas lets me do that It's a really awesome transfer case. So we've got the transmission cross member back in, drive shafts. This actually has to come out. This is the rear 4-link mount for the lower arms here, and I've got, you can tell there's a nice little bend in those from bashing them on rocks, but this cross member has to go in and it has to come out because the transfer case has to pull back and it can't do that. And then I have a flat skid plate that bolts in here and covers all of this because it's a flat belly all the way up to here, which is where the front 4-link ties in. So it's link bar to skid plate, 1/4-inch skid plate to link bar, and none of this gets damaged at all. The torque converter and the oil pan hang out, but if you look from this side, the oil pan and everything is up above these link bars. It would take a pretty specific rock to hit that, and I've got pretty good ground clearance anyway with the 50-inch stickies that I have, which we cut. Those will be in a different video, but there's the cut on them. And let's see, what else do we have to do? Oh, so we were putting this transmission temp sensor, and it twisted off. As soon as I touched it with a wrench, almost, it spun off and the threads came off of the sensor. I didn't take videos of it. We got in a hurry and trying to get everything back together to get ready for BMR this weekend. So I ordered a new one and a shift cable. There's a shift cable, new glow shift gauge, which will have it in there. And then I also got some fresh AMSOIL for it. This is for my dually. And then we've got transmission. I went with torque shift transmission fluid from AMSOIL this time. I was running this OE synthetic. Of course, AMSOIL is all full synthetic, but when I got water in it at Clayton, we had to flush it out, and the only thing we had was Napa there in town, and they had transmission fluid, but the amount that I needed to run it, flush it, drain it, run it, flush it, run it, flush it, we ran out of decks for the Chevy transmission that we have. It's a Turbo 350, and I don't know if it was the water or it was the different fluids we had to put in it, because they only had so much decks. We were putting Type F, we were putting everything we could in it. You guys will probably tell me in the comments, but basically the O-rings on the cylinders stretched out in the transmission, and then it caused a fluid to bypass that, which then caused me to lose pressure on the clutches in the transmission. I started burning up the transmission. We didn't burn up the clutches completely, but with this rebuild, we have new heavy-duty clutches in there anyway. He was in there. Might as well get new fresh ones in. This had been about a year, and it's totally my fault. I got it wet, and then I put the wrong fluid in it, I had to get it back on the trail to help another buddy off the trail. I might throw some pictures in here if I can of us trying to get his buggy back together on the back side of the mountain. But anyway, we got it off the mountain, and then he sold it right after that. But anyway, that's my buggy. Transmission's in. I'm going to replace the shifter cable and that sensor, and then fill it up full of fluid, and she should be ready to go. So real quick here on my temp sensor, this is the temp sensor you get with the glow shift, and I welded this nut into this pan right here. I'm not a professional fabricator, but it's sealed up and it hasn't failed me yet. But what I did have is I had a leak come around these threads, and I'm sure you're supposed to put pipe dope on it or whatever, but I found this little copper washer. It's actually from a brake caliper. I had one laying out in the yard off an axle, so I put that on there and then just threaded that in there, and I just got to snug it up on that copper, and it keeps it from leaking. But I thought I would share that with you since I am here messing with it.